Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. uh, I know it's been so long since we had our previous video. I'm not really able to find time to solve these questions and record them, so today I'm just free and I'm not doing anything. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's try to solve this problem, which is a daily question on Leetcode. So the name of the question is minimum add to make parenthesis valid. So a parenthesis string is valid if and only if it is an empty string. It can be written as something like this, or it can be written as like this. It's basically nothing but suppose basically we are given a string. We are given a string something like this. That means that oops. Let me write. Suppose we're given the string something like this: left bracket, right bracket, right bracket. We need to tell whether the string is whether the string evaluates to valid parenthesis or not. If it's not a valid parenthesis, we need to tell how many parentheses that we need to add in order to make it valid. Suppose if you look at this parenthesis, we see that this corresponds to this parenthesis and there is one invalid parenthesis. So in order to make it valid, we need to add one left parenthesis here, right? So the answer is 1. If you look at this, we are given something like left bracket, left bracket, left bracket. So what should we need to do in order to make these parentheses valid? So we need to add this, and we need to add this, which corresponds to this one, and we again need to add this. So we need to add 3 right parentheses in order to make it valid, right? So the answer is 3. So basically this is the question. What we are given is we are basically given a string as
It's
an
6
input.
o'clock.
We are basically given the string as an input, and what we need to do is we need to identify how many parentheses we need to add, the minimum number of parentheses. You know that suppose if we have something like this, suppose if we have 3, we cannot add 5 or 6, right? Oh, we can also add more, and we can also add these on the other side, but we need to return the minimum number of parentheses, right? So we need to return the minimum number of parentheses that we need to add in order to make the string valid. So let's try to understand with the help of some examples. Let's take this example. Suppose we have something like this: left bracket, right bracket, and right bracket. Right parenthesis. So if you look at this, what we can observe is that this left parenthesis corresponds with this right parenthesis, and this is perfect, right? We don't need to do anything about this. So when we come here, we see that there is a right parenthesis, but there is no left parenthesis for this. This guy needs to have someone on the other side in order to make him valid, but this guy doesn't have anyone, right? So what we need to do is we need to add one parenthesis on the left in order to make it valid. So the answer became 1. So the next example is something like this: left, left, and left. So these 3 guys are there, but these 3 guys need the other 3 guys in order to make them valid, right? But these 3 are not there. So for this guy we're adding this guy, and for this guy we're adding this guy, and for this guy we're adding this. So basically we're adding 3 more parentheses in order to make it valid. So the answer is 3. So let's try to look at some more examples in order to get a clear idea of this. So let's say we have something like this: left. Let's say we have something like this. So if we have something like this, what can we do? Can we rotate this? We cannot. All we can do is you can only insert the parenthesis at any position of the string, at any position. So if you can insert either here or here or here. You can insert at any position, right? So in order to make this thing valid, what I can do is I can add a parenthesis here. I can also add a parenthesis here in order to make them valid, right? So we added 2. So the answer is 2. So, and let's take a look at another example, something like left, right, and left. What we need to do in order to make these parentheses valid? What we can do is, the thing that I'm thinking is that I can draw this parenthesis in order to make these two valid, and then I'll add these two. I'm sorry, this one and this one. So all these guys are valid. So we also need to make this guy valid, right? So this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. So if you observe carefully, let's do one more example in order to get a clear idea. Let's say we have something like this. So how many parentheses do we need to add right now? These two guys are valid. This parenthesis is also valid. Only this guy is not valid. So I need to add this parenthesis, right? So I added 1. Let's say we have something like only left bracket. Just say I'm saying that we only have 1 bracket. So what we need to do? We need to add right bracket. So 1. Let's say we have something like this. Again only 1 bracket, which is the right bracket. So then I can add this one here, and it will become valid, right? Let's say we have something like left bracket and left bracket, and that's it. Then we need to add 1, 2. So if I don't know whether you're getting an intuition or not, but the thing is that in the given string, we just need to identify number of invalid parentheses. So if you observe carefully here, I'm sorry. Here, if you observe carefully, these two guys are valid, right? So we just found out 1 invalid parenthesis. So if we found 1 invalid parenthesis, will we add 2 of them? We will not, right? Will we add 3 of them? We will not, right? We just add 1 of them in order to make it valid, right? So after all these examples, the thing that came to my mind is that we just need to identify number of invalid parentheses in the string in order to find the answer, right? So let's look how are we going to find the number of invalid parentheses. So let's say I have something like this: left, right, and left, and that's it. Let's say we have something like this. Yeah, okay. So there's a data structure called stack, which is very, very helpful in order to do these parentheses sort of things, right? So I'll use a stack. So the intuition behind using a stack is that, why am I using a stack? That's because I'll give you an example. Something like, suppose we have something like this. So suppose we have these 3 open parentheses and we have these 3 closed parentheses. So when I come here, I need to map it with the first one, right? The first parenthesis. I cannot map this with this, right? I cannot map this with this as well. I can only map the right parenthesis with the topmost left parenthesis. So, and when I come here, I can map this with this thing. I cannot map this thing with this thing, right? So if you observe carefully, for every right parenthesis, we need the recent left parenthesis. So where can we get the recent left parenthesis? We can get it, we know that the stack is last in first out, right? Last in first out, yeah. So if we keep on pushing these things into the stack, something like this guy went in and this guy went in and the left guy went in, and when I see this right parenthesis, I need the recent left parenthesis, right? So I'll take this guy, right? So this is the intuition behind using a stack. So let's look at an example in order to get a clear idea. Let's say we have a stack here and this is the input. So basically initially I'll be here. When I see a left parenthesis, I'll just push it into the stack, right? And then I'll move right. I'm sorry. And again I saw a left parenthesis, I'll again push it into the stack. Now I'll come here. I see a right parenthesis. So when I see a right parenthesis, I'll check if my stack has some left parenthesis or not. Because if I don't have any left parenthesis, suppose if I have a string like this, if I don't have any left parenthesis, then that means this is invalid, right? But right now I have some left parenthesis, so I can map this right parenthesis with some left parenthesis, right? So when I see a right parenthesis, I'll check the stack. I do have a left parenthesis in the stack, so what I'll do is I'll just map these two, so they will become something like this. So since these two are valid, I'm not considering them. I'll just remove both of them. Removing both of them means I'll just remove this guy from here. I'll just traverse through the to the next one. So when I come here, I see a left parenthesis. When I see a left parenthesis, I'll just push it into the stack, and my pointer moves out of bounds, right? So at the end, I see that there are two left parentheses which doesn't have a matching right parenthesis. These two guys are waiting for someone to come and make them valid, but there's no one, there's no one to make them valid, right? So these two guys have become invalid. So we need two right parentheses in order to make them valid. So the answer is 2, right? It is the number of left parentheses that are in the stack. Let's take one more example. Let's say we have something like right parenthesis, left parenthesis. Let's say we have something like this. So without using stack, let's just, using our common sense, let's try to think like how many parentheses do we need here? We need one over here, one to make this valid, one to make this valid. So basically we need 4 parentheses, right? So how are we going to solve this using the stack? So using the stack, what I'll do is, initially my pointer will be here, right? So I see a right parenthesis, and then I'm looking for a left parenthesis on the left side. So I will be looking onto the stack, but the stack is empty. That means there are no left parentheses on the left side, right? So that means this guy is invalid. In order to make him valid, I need to add one left parenthesis. So I'll just count number of invalid. The number of invalid is, till now it's 1, right? And I'll go to the next parenthesis. I see that this guy is also right parenthesis. He's also looking for someone as a left parenthesis, right? So he'll go and look into the stack, but he finds no one. So he's also invalid, right? So the number of invalid will become 2. Now there is a left parenthesis. When as I said, when we see a left parenthesis, we'll just push it into the stack, because these guys will wait for right parenthesis in order to come and match them, right? And then when I come here, I see a left parenthesis and and I'll push them into the stack, and we just finished the whole string and we just came out, right? So there are no right parentheses in order to make these guys valid. So these two guys are also invalid, right? So the number of invalid will become 4. So we need to add 4 parentheses in order to make the entire string valid, right? So shall we do one more example? Or so basically what we're just doing is that, let's say we have something like this. let's do this final example and let's dive into the code. So initially I'm at this parenthesis, and since it's a left parenthesis, I'll just push it into the stack. Then I'll come here. This guy is looking for a left parenthesis, so he'll directly go inside the stack and look for a left parenthesis. There is one inside the stack, right? So these two guys will get matched with each other. These two guys will get matched with each other and they're valid. Now when I come here, I see a left parenthesis. Again I'll push it, and again this guy will try to pair up with this guy, and these two are valid. The same thing will happen to these two as well, so all these are valid. Now when I come here, I see a right parenthesis. This guy goes and checks for left parenthesis, but he finds no one there. So basically he is invalid, right? So, I'm sorry. So the invalid count equals to 1. So this means we need to add one one left parenthesis in order to make this valid. So that can be either here or that can either be here, because we can insert anywhere, right? So the basic idea is that we just need to find out the number of invalid parentheses in the code, in the string, I mean. So as I said, we'll be taking a stack which stores a character. We should be storing okay, and now what we are going to do is just loop out through every character in the string. As I said, if the character is equals to left parenthesis, then we'll just push it into the stack, right? Else, if the parenthesis right parenthesis, then what we'll do here, it means the parenthesis is this one. So then we'll check if the stack is having anything. If the stack is having anything, we'll just pop that out, right? If the stack is having left parenthesis, then we'll just pop it out, right? And else, if the stack doesn't have anything, then the number of invalid will be increased, right? And I'll just declare this as 0 at the beginning, and at the end I'll just return the invalid. That's it. Oh, at the end, you know, if you take a look at this example, when we ran out of the string, we see that there are two left parentheses which are still residing in the stack. So these two are also invalid, right? So we'll check. We don't even need to check, but I'm just checking. If the stack has any unmatched parentheses, then I'll just add it. Invalid plus equals to the number of parentheses which are inside the stack. And if we run this, should be running fine. Yeah. And this got accepted, and that's it, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and if you find the video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.